it seemed like over that summer, we changed from being colored and Negro to becoming Black. And I remember the first day of school, we were in our homeroom, and the PA system came on, and there were, we said our prayers, and then students came on and made certain announcements, and then all of a sudden there was a Black student that came on and said, "Would all Black students report to room 302 after school for a BSA meeting?" And I just remember being stunned that they would be so bold as to actually say the word Black, because it was, at that particular time, it was perceived as being very militant. I also remember that towards I think it was in my sophomore or junior year, we did a Black student assembly. And it must have been in the evening, because I remember my mother being there. But I recall as we pulled up at home, and I don't know why it took that long. My school was actually straight down the street on West Pine. It's now a part of St. Louis University. And I recall her saying that she had no idea that I had so much resentment. And the strange thing is, and this is almost making me tear up a bit, many years later, I had reached a significant success as an attorney, and I would always allow my son to drive when we were together, because that gave me the opportunity to possibly see mistakes or give him hints or whatever, and to give him the experience while I was there with him. And so he was driving, we had an inexpensive late model Mercedes, and we were driving home, and all of a sudden the lights come on, "Please pull him over." And my son has always been an extremely mild-mannered person, very respectful. And he knew he had not done anything. And so the officer started questioning him, and he's questioning the officer, "What, did I do?" And I was trying to allow him to handle it. And eventually I spoke up and said, "I'm an attorney. We know, our rights. What did he do?" And then, here it was many, many years later, here was my teenage son driving a car being stopped without provocation, without any reason by a police officer. And I could hear that same resentment in his voice, not having realized that he had lived those 17 years experiencing these types of micro and macro aggressions, I would imagine, but had never expressed them to me. But in that conversation that my son was having, I felt that same surprise that my mother must have felt that day, because I heard resentment in my son's voice that I had no idea existed. And so as parents, we send our children off to school, and we know there are these landmines out there, we know the racism exists, but our children don't come home and express it. And so it's just self-contained, and they live with it, and we just don't even have that conversation. So it just sits there and it festers.